Hello everyone, welcome to today's class. So we'll continue some topics on ServiceNow CS exam. I think we've had some discussions around it already. I have published some videos, what is required for that exam, how do you crack that exam, what is the course content. In this particular case, we are going a little advanced in terms of what is exam window, what is the concept of delta exam, what is the concept of maintenance fees, because these concepts are actually applicable to all the exams of ServiceNow, delta, maintenance, all of that, right? So, which means you can use these concepts for everything, because these are some generic concepts. Now, in this case, particularly, I'm talking about, first of all, I think this prerequisite part. So some people have asked me this question that what is it that we require as a prerequisite for ServiceNow CSA exam, right? So if you see this particular thing, it says that as such, there is no mandatory prerequisite, if you understand what I'm saying, except completing that course on Now Learning, right? So there are two courses which we talked about earlier. One is a live class for ServiceNow fundamentals, and second is on-demand class. So live class, of course, has to be arranged with ServiceNow team, and fundamentals on demand you can do at any point of time based on your availability, based on your login. So you just need to register and we just need to start working on that course. However, it is a paid course. So if you are not from a partner portal, if you're not from a customer portal, you don't have any discount, then you might need to purchase that particular course and you need to study it. Then at the end of the course, you get a voucher. We have talked about that stuff already. But what I'm trying to say here is this is the mandatory thing which is required, or I can say it is prerequisite for ServiceNow CSA exam. So any of these courses you can do, but you have to do one of them, and then only you collect the voucher code for that particular exam. Now, however, what they say is that even if it is not mandatory, still it is recommended to have certain kind of experience before you write the ServiceNow CSA exam. And what are those experiences expected, right? One is that you should be aware of basic concept of database, relational database management system, RDBMS, the overall system management, how any platform looks like in terms of UI interfaces. So that kind of concept, I mean, UI actions, app server, web server databases, the basic concept of IT, to be honest. Then you will need some kind of role in your day-to-day life in which you actually do the service administrator role. Now, of course, whoever is doing this for the first time and have not been there in ServiceNow world so far, for him, this experience is not expected. But yeah, generally, I mean, people write this exam once they have certain amount of experience in ServiceNow sysadmin role, or they at least have access to ServiceNow administrative applications and modules. Now, to overcome that part, what you can do is you can actually go and register PDI, and you have all the roles there, you have admin access there, you can do everything there itself, right? So you can learn it from there. But it is, again, as I said, it is all recommended experience. It is not mandatory. So if you do not have real-time experience, you can learn that thing from a PDI, start building things there, start configuring forms, templates, or whatever topics we have studied as a part of the ServiceNow CSA syllabus. You can practice them. And I think we have to practice them. If you don't practice, then it is difficult to actually get hold of a particular concept. Then you should have some knowledge of those help desk processes, those ITIL processes. I think we've talked about those videos as well. We have seen this ITSM concept. We've talked about ServiceNow incident problem change management process. So again, it is again recommended. So if you understand that incident management, problem management, change management, request management, portal, knowledge management, the help desk L1, L2 kind of mechanism. So you understand the basic support model in any industry which works well. That also helps, because then you understand that, okay, why I'm moving from this stage to this stage. But again, it is primarily for ServiceNow ITSM module. For Now platform capabilities, Now platform administration, incident problem change experience is not kind of recommended also. I mean, if you have it, fair enough. If you don't have it, does not really matter. Then last but not least, it says 3 to 6 months experience using and maintaining ServiceNow instance. So I mean, similar to the point number 2, if you see, it is similar thing here as well. It is that you are actively doing some kind of maintaining that instance using some admin roles and responsibilities, and you have around 3 to 6 months experience. So it helps you to understand concept. You can get hands-on understanding of things. And as I said earlier, that this can be overcome by doing the same things in a PDI. So if you do all those basic things which we have talked about in our previous videos, this will help you further to hold grasp of the topics. This is about the prerequisites and some kind of experience is recommended but not mandatory just to write ServiceNow CASA exam. Now, if we talk about if I want to do ServiceNow ITSM module, ServiceNow ITOM module, then of course those will have their own different prerequisites and experiences. We'll not talk about them here right now because they're not part of the scope. But one thing is important that whenever you write any exam for ServiceNow CASA itself becomes a prerequisite. Again, not a mandatory prerequisite. However, it is important that you understand CASA, and it is always advisable that you do CASA first. After that, only you should do any other exam, because this gives you fundamentals knowledge of ServiceNow, right? But again, because this particular topic is focused on CASA, so we will not go beyond it right now. So again, wish you all the best for your ServiceNow certification exam for CASA. Now let's talk about the new topic here. Again, all of these topics, what I'm going to talk about today, are related to exam, right? We've talked about already that how to register on web assessor, how to do all of that stuff. We already know that, right? So it is much beyond that level, and it is generic. So as I said, exam window, what you see here, it is for any exam. So whatever exams you give in ServiceNow, what it talks about is, it talks about, first of all, the release versions. So right now, as you know, that we are on ServiceNow San Diego. Before that, we were in Rome, and before that, we were in Quebec, right? And what they've done is, everything which is current release is marked as in green, and everything which is previous release is marked as in pink, right? So how to read this particular table? This is very important. So understand this table, right? So they say that Quebec was available to the world in March 2021. Rome was available to the world in September 2021. So it is GA means general availability, means it is available to you now. San Diego was available for the world in March 23, 2022. So if you see the cycle, we have talked about it, you have a 6-monthly cycle for ServiceNow upgrades or releases, right? So this is right now, March 23. And I think by September, they'll have another version with the name T in it, right? So now understand this concept. It says last date to take certification on previous release. So which means if I were to apply for an exam today in ServiceNow CASA or any module of ServiceNow, it cannot be in Quebec, nor it can be in Rome, if you see this, right? Which means that ServiceNow no more offers exam on Quebec or Rome upgrades. Why? Because by April 2022, they have already, so if you see this date of Rome certification partner exam, right? Certification partner accreditation availability. So you could give this Rome exam on April 2022. So I mean, just a few days from now, right? And then there'll be a blackout window. So blackout window from this period, right? So this is April 21 to May 4, which means during this period of April 21 to May 4, you will not be allowed to take any exam in ServiceNow because they kind of maintain and upgrade their examination patterns. So which means the best thing for you to do right now is that you appear for San Diego exam, which you can do anytime after 5th of May, right? So these things means that this was the date by which you could take this exam on the previous release. When Rome was released, you could have taken this exam by September 15th for Quebec. Similarly, when you're talking about San Diego, you could have taken the exam on Rome by April 20th. After April 20th, you will not be allowed to take exam on ServiceNow Rome version, right? And then they have exam blackout period. So we talked about it already. I'll not talk about all of these things because they have already passed. This is the latest date for San Diego. This is the blackout period, which means you will not be able to write any exam during this time, 21 April to May 4th. You can see almost 15 days window, if you see, right? Then again, it is English as well as non-English. So, I mean, blackout period does not, here FAC does not change, right? It is almost similar period for non-English candidate as well, right? And 5th of May is the date from where you can start writing San Diego exams, right? For non-English, again, the same date. For English, again, the same date, no problem. Now, what we have to understand here is this delta window. This is very important. Now, what happens is generally, delta is exam is given, especially in the case, for example, you've done CSA certification already on any version, and now ServiceNow has released a new version. Then to maintain your certification, you are supposed to do delta certification also. This is why they call it as delta window. And the time period which is allowed to do that is 3 months after that particular version is released, which means if I exam and not version release, I mean exam release. What we see here is San Diego has been released on May 5th, right? 2022. Now delta will be available for 3 months, or I would say 90 days from this May 5 window. So you can write delta exam only till 3rd of August 2022 for San Diego. So which means if you've done already Rome CSA in the Rome version, you have time only till August 3, 2022 to write the delta exam for San Diego. If you do not do it, your current certification will be expired and you'll have to do a renewal of the certification in that case, right? Even for non-English, the window is same. So there is not so much difference. I think there were differences earlier. I don't see, at least in this particular row, there is no difference in terms of non-English versus English, right? But the idea is very clear that San Diego is released in the month of March. You could have taken exam on the previous release, which was Rome, till April 20 only. Then you have a blackout period from 21st April to May 4th for both same English as non-English. Then San Diego exam will be available from 5th of May onwards, right? Even for English as well as non-English. Whoever has done the exam in the previous version, which is Rome, he is allowed to take delta exam only till 3rd of August. So if you do not complete your delta exam by 3rd of August, your certification will be expired if you have done your CSA exam in Rome, if not in San Diego. Of course, if you've done it in San Diego, then you don't have to do any delta. So deltas are applicable only in those cases where you've done it in the previous release, right? So this site, I hope, this particular slide, I hope is clear to all of you. This is important to understand because sometimes what happens is people do write exams. They do clear them as well. They're not able to maintain it because of these reasons. Sometimes they're not available, aware of the important dates and important concepts about the exams. That is why it becomes all the more important to understand these things because they are applicable for all the exams. So even if you do ServiceNow ITSM CIS certification, that will also get expired if you do not do this delta window. So all of these exams are, these concepts are applicable for all the exams. Now let's understand this delta exam a little bit further. So I think generally what happens is, you have done a mainline certification. For example, just assume that ServiceNow Rome, in ServiceNow Rome version, you've done CSA certification. They have released a new version now, which is right now San Diego. Now they have a blackout period. We just talked about it. There was a blackout period from April 21 to May 4th, right? This is that period. This mainline and delta exams released. So 5th of May, they are releasing this mainline and delta exams. So both mainline and delta exams. We've talked about mainline exams already in the previous slides already. So, which means that for San Diego, the main examination, the mainline exam for ServiceNow CSA, as well as the delta exam for ServiceNow CSA will be released together on the very same day. And then you have this delta exam period for 3 months. That is what I was talking about, pass delta exam. So within these 3 months after the release, you have to pass a delta exam. We'll talk about maintenance fees in the next slide. So we'll just go through it quickly to understand if we have not missed anything. The first line is every mainline certification holder must complete delta exams to maintain an active certification. It is must, it is not should, first of all. Yeah. So which means it is mandatory. It is not optional for you. You have to do it. Second is delta exams are automatically assigned with every new release after 15 days. Right. So whenever there is a release and then exam period is given to you, by that time, they'll automatically be telling you from Now Learning profile that you have been assigned the delta exam, please complete it within 15 days of that time, right? Now, how do you prepare for it? You should review the release notes for that particular release for which you're giving delta exam. So in this case, if there is anything changed in San Diego version, you'll have to review the release notes, especially from Now Platform administration purpose. If you're talking about CSA exam, if you're talking about any other exam, depending on that exam, you have to actually understand those release notes, what has been changed for that particular module or for that particular application. In this case, we're talking about CSA right now. So you just need to see what has changed for now platform administration. For example, we'll talk about it as well in some time, that what has changed in San Diego, at least at a UI level, but not right now. Now it says certification status will be shown at risk if Delta exam is pending, which means the moment they have released Delta exam and they have attached it to your profile, because you've done a mainline certification on the previous version, your certification status on the system, which means in now profile, will be shown at risk, and it will expire after 90 days if you have not completed Delta exam. This is the time that they're talking about, the Delta exam period. So as I said earlier, 90 days is a time, 3 months is that time which is given to you to complete a Delta exam after a new version is released. Now, some tips and tricks. One is that do not wait until the final day to attempt the Delta. Sometimes people think, it is very easy. I've done the mainline already, so I should not be facing so many issues with Delta. Sometimes, if you do not, prepare well enough, especially in terms of what has changed, you might have a problem. There are very small number of questions. They are unproctored exam. They have around 10 questions at max, and it can be taken directly from Now Learning. So you don't have to apply for that complete cycle which you did for mainline certification. It is just to ensure that you now understand the latest concepts which have come in the latest release. Now, the reason they're saying that it should not be waiting until the final day, because there is a 24-hour waiting period between exam attempts. For example, there is, if I talk about this particular date, right? So, for example, August 3 is date, and you're thinking to take exam on August 3. Now, August 3 have taken the exam, and you have failed in the first attempt. Then the second attempt will be applicable only after 24 hours. And by that time, your Delta exam window would be finished, because window is still only August 3. So you have to give your exam only on 4th, which means your certification is already expired. So the reason they're saying that do not attempt it the last day, do it a little in advance, maybe a month before, or even immediately whenever you think you are okay to do that. But give yourself some time to prepare for it, first of all. Second, if there is a failure in the first attempt, you'll have a 24-hour waiting period. So it will be enabled only after 24 hours. You should have that buffer in place in terms of ensuring that you are not failing that exam and you are kind of moving through further and your certification is constantly renewed, right? And you talked about already the Delta exams are unproctored, have 10 questions or less. So it can be taken directly from Now Learning. So it is easier procedure to take the Delta exams as compared to the mainline exams. That is the whole concept. Of course, we talked about the last point here that you do not need to take the Delta exam for the same release you pass the mainline exam. So for example, if you've done ServiceNow CSA in San Diego itself, then you don't need to do a Delta for San Diego. You have to do Delta for the next version. So which is, I think, common sense here, that you Delta is only for those cases where you have done it in the previous release and now they have released a new version. I hope this slide is clear. This Delta exam part is clear to you now. But again, as I said, it is important for all the exams in ServiceNow, not only CSA. Yeah. Let's talk about maintenance fees. Now, there is a concept of maintenance fees in ServiceNow, which is required to maintain your certifications. So if you see this, right, it is a fees which is assessed to all the mainline certification holders participating in 2 or more Delta release windows. So which means if you've done your CSA mainline exam in Rome and you have done San Diego Delta as well as the next version Delta, or and any more Deltas after that, right? So then it is applicable for you. So if you've done only Rome and you have done only one Delta for San Diego, this will not be applicable to you, first of all, right? It generally occurs, it is more of annual fees. It generally occurs during the second half of the year, right? And best part about this particular thing is how many certifications you have, it does not really matter. So it is not per certification. It is very important to note. It is for your entire profile. So if you've done the Delta exams, then this fees is one-time fees for all your exams together. So irrespective of the number of mainline certifications you have, it does not really matter, right? And the fees is around $200 per individual. And as I said, it covers all the mainline certifications. You have taxes differently applicable for different countries, of course. And then why I have put a star mark there in front of 200 is because you might get some kind of vouchers or discounts if you are doing it via partner portal or you have a customer login, right? So ServiceNow generally offers discounts on those cases also. But then, yeah, the normal procedure is if you do not have any discounts, then this is the normal fees. Yeah. then all certified individuals who attained their first mainline certification during or before the Paris release will be required to pay the annual 2022 certification maintenance fees. The dates have not been finalized yet. They had dates the previous one, but 2022 certification maintenance fees dates have not been there. But then again, as I said, it generally occurs during the second half of the year. So October, September is kind of, a date which you can think about. So yeah, anything which you've done before Paris, then you have to pay this fees of 2022 maintenance fees. Yeah, it is important, because if you remember, we just talked about, right, you have to have 2 or more delta release windows. So Paris, if you've done before Paris, we do Q, Q2R, and now it is San Diego. So whoever has done the delta till San Diego, he has done 3 deltas already, which means he has to pay this, right? For example, in 2020, I'll just give you a classic use case in terms of the cycle, in terms of the invoicing cycle for this particular maintenance fees, right? For example, in 2020, if you have paid the 2020 maintenance fees January 5, you will be assessed this fees on October. So you have paid it on January 5, right? But then they are assessing generally on their cycle. So their cycle fall on, at that time, it fell on 1st of October 2021. So which means you still have time till January 6, 2022 to pay the fees. And then you'll be assessed for the next maintenance fees. So it depends on when you actually gave the fees. So if it is falling in that cycle, it will actually take care of that part which you have done the last time. You are allowed to keep your maintenance for 1 month, 1 year after that. Right. So this is also important. So after Delta also, there is a maintenance fee which is applicable on your certifications, which is required, which is applicable when you have done 2 or more Delta certifications after a mainline certifications. But the good part is it does not matter how many certifications do you have, irrespective of it. It is one time, not one time fee, it is a kind of annual fees, right? If you're doing Delta again and again. So this is also important. So this is the part which we are covering here, that maintenance fees. This is just we covered here. I hope that concept is clear, that why do they have maintenance? Of course, the reason they have it because, you don't need to do it for every certification. You are continuously ensuring that you are up to date. All of those things are there. So that is why they charge this maintenance fees. Now, let's understand the certification expiry. How and when does a certificate expire? ServiceNow, and again, all of these points are valid for all the exams of ServiceNow, not only CSC. Right? We're talking about mainline certification. So, of course, you yourself as a candidate are responsible for ensuring that your certification is not expired. Now, when does it expire? Understand this very carefully. You have taken a mainline certification and there was a new version release. You have not taken a Delta exam during the 3 months period, your certification will definitely expire. Second, you have not paid annual maintenance fees even after the Delta exams. You are supposed to pay that fees because it will be visible in your profile by default. So when you log into your Now profile, you'll always see that there is a fees invoice raised, you will pay. So I will not go into those logistics in terms of how to pay the fees, and that is very simple thing. You have used so many websites earlier, so I think everybody knows how to pay fees. It is not a big deal. So yeah, second is the case when you do not pay the annual maintenance fees, then also it expires. And third is, now, if it expires because of any of these reasons, you have to go to Web Assessor, you have to register it again, you have to pay the exam re-entry fees, pass the mainline exam, okay, which is important. Right. So you have to pay that entire fee, you have to do the entire cycle all over again if the certification is expired. Now, in case of micro suit certificate or micro certificate, how does it expire? No? In this, so it was about this we talked about mainline certification. Now we're talking about micro and suit type certifications. It says additional requirements for a micro suit or core skills micro certification are added and not completed within the specified time. That they have kind of done some changes in that latest release. They'll notify you that you have to do this concept before you actually complete the certification, or you've completed that, they will still send a notification and you have to just do this part as well. Once certification is expired, the candidate will need to retake the training and pass the non-proctored exams. We already know that macro and suit are non-proctored exams. We have talked about it earlier. So if your certification is expired, then you will need to retake the training, that particular module, whichever you're talking about, and you have to again write that exam, which is non-proctored nature. We know that it is non-proctored, so that is fine, right? But yeah, even this is due to expire. I mean, it does not mean that the micro or suit certifications do not expire. They also do expire, but it is little less procedural or less complex less procedural, less complex as compared to the mainline certification expiry. So we need to understand these concepts of delta exam, the certification expiries, the maintenance fees, so that we are up to date with our ServiceNow profile. Yeah. So let's, I think, yeah, I am done with this concept. If there is any question, you can just post in the comments. Thank you very much for your time. Have a nice day.